What's going on, guys? Big Mike, the 717 Outlaw, back with you here today. We have the Busa up on the lift, but we're not going to be doing anything to the Busa per se. Well, not yet. You have to wait till the next upload to check that out. But we're going to be talking about something that is a cheap mod that can modify how your bike puts the power to the ground, and that happens to be sprockets. More in particular, we're going to be talking about sprocket ratios and how that affects the handling, or not the handling, but the power of your bike. Alright guys, let's get into this. Alright guys, well, getting into sprockets and sprocket ratios, first we got to look at what this is all talking about. So on a bike you have your front sprocket or your countershaft sprocket, and then you have your rear sprocket, which is typically on your rear wheel. So now what your sprocket ratio does is it explains how many times your front sprocket has to move in order for your rear sprocket to move once. So on my bike, Hayabusa, or at least a Gen 2 Hayabusa, runs an 1843 sprocket. So 18 tooth in the front, 43 tooth in the rear. That transfers over to a 2.39 ratio, which means for 2.39 rotations of this sprocket, this one only moves once. So going with that, there's tall and short gearing. Now that you understand what each part is, the front and rear sprocket, and then how they transfer this is all basically taking your motor RPMs and putting it to your rear wheel to put it to the ground. So let's break it down and talk about tall and short gearing. Let's look at tall gearing. Now typically what you're going to be seeing out of tall gearing is you're going to have a much higher top end, so you're going to be having higher trap speeds or a higher overall top speed. Now typically how you do that for most of these bikes is what you're going to do is you're either going to take teeth off of the rear sprocket or add them to the front. You can do both, which in this case, so say if you took, I don't think they make it, so don't quote me on that. If I bumped a 20 tooth sprocket here and went to a 40 on the rear, this would set the Busa up to have a way bigger top end. So for like a standing mile or something like that, it would have a lot higher trap speed than what it has right now. But typically, when you do a tall gear application, what you're going to see is more highway mileage. You're going to get better fuel economy because your RPMs are down. But the biggest factor with that is your low end torque is kind of gone. But that's not a bad thing, especially in terms of fuel economy, because your lower RPMs are going to help the bike a little bit. So it's kind of a win-win. You get a higher top end, but you do get the fuel economy to go with it. But that's pretty much it for top end, or yeah, for tall gearing. You have more top end, lower RPMs, better fuel economy, and just don't have as much get up out of the hole. All right guys, so short gearing goes completely opposite of tall. So short gearing, what you're gonna end up seeing is a lot more get up and go out of the hole. RPMs are gonna be a lot higher, and you're gonna have a lot more power, but you're going to lose your top end. I mean, for me, I'm switching to a 1646, so this is to show you how to do the ratios. So what you'll typically do, you'll take teeth off the front sprocket and make it smaller, and then you make the rear sprocket bigger. Now, you can do one or the other, or you can do both at the same time like I am. So I'm switching to a 1646 setup over an 1843 setup. So I'll have a lot more pickup, but I'm going to lose my top end. Now, for me, that's not going to hurt, because drag racing, you want to get out of the hole as quick as you can and get up to speed. So for me, I'm not really too worried about that. But in reference to a commuter bike, you're going to be severely affected on fuel economy. But this is going to make your bike a lot more user-friendly for canyon carving, corner carving, things like that with your friends, because you'll be able to hit the corners, power out of it, and have a lot of fun. Sorry guys, let's double check both of these ratios and kind of get the pros and cons of each. Alright guys, so looking at everything that we just covered, so you have tall gears, short gears. Tall gears are better for fuel economy applications, high speed applications, and more, I guess, highway commuter applications. Now, your low end short gearing is typically going to be used for more get up and go out of the hole. So this, in reference to what I'm doing, is a drag racing setup, more of a racing setup, because you'll have more power coming out of the corners. And if you're building a nice corner carving bike, having shorter gearing kind of makes it nice, because you can come out of the corners a lot faster than your typical guys with a stock ratio might. So that's pretty much the pros and cons to tall and short gearing. Now this, again, is all based on your bike. For my bike, there's a lot of options I can go with. There's a lot of room to modify things. But for my bike, getting out of the holes faster, so short gearing works better for me. Tall gearing might work better for you. But as always, I hope you guys liked the video, and I hope that it was informative enough to help you guys pick out your sprockets. A lot of that, again, see what your stock sprocket ratio is with your front and rear, and then try to see where you go from there. All right, guys. Like I said, hope you liked the video. If you do, give it a thumbs up. If you want to know anything more, or if there's something I didn't cover that you want to know about sprocket ratios, drop those comments down below, and I'll see you on the next episode. All right, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, and remember, ride safe, ride smart, always your helmet. See ya.